Okay, we need to talk a little bit about concatenation and quotes. Assuming I have some text or some PHP code like this, notice I've set a variable city to St. George, state to Utah, and those other ones. I like to format that. There's a nice feature in NetBeans that auto formats it for you. But anyway, notice these are all string variables. Concatenation is the process whereby we take one string variable and kind of squish it onto the end of another string variable. The way we do that is with this dot operator. This is the concatenation operator in PHP. So we can say take the city, squish onto it, or add onto the end of it a comma space, add onto the end of that the state, add onto the end of that a comma space, add onto the end of that the zip, and it would go ahead and print out those, or add those together, I should say, concatenate those together, stored in the variable address. Then if I want to actually display the variable address, we can do echo $address. Now, if we take a look at this, if we take a look at concat.php, as you might imagine, it should print out St. George, Utah 84790. It concatenates those out. But there's one thing that we need to say. So concatenation is pretty easy, but I want to talk about quotes. And quotes are very important. Notice I had echo quote address. I could also accomplish the exact same thing like this. So there is no difference between lines 8 and 9 there. As we look at this, it's the same. We'll get the same thing, and I don't have any breaks or new lines in there, so that's why we're seeing the same thing. But if I go like this, $address, there is a huge difference. Notice that even the syntax highlighter highlights it a little differently, and as we upload that and we view it, notice that it prints out $address. So right off the bat, you see that PHP, if you put PHP commands inside double quotes, the PHP interpreter can understand that, and it can figure out what the variable is, or look for PHP variables inside of double quotes. It does not look for PHP variables inside of single quotes. So that being the case, I can say my address is, and notice still, and I can put a period there. It's all inside double quotes. PHP can still find that. Single quotes, my address is this. PHP cannot find that because we're inside of single quotes. So single quotes versus double quotes are very important for us to see. So my address is this, and then period, and then let's see. Oh, what did we do? We echoed out the address, and then we also echoed out my address is $address. So PHP cannot see that. Finally, we could concatenate the same string like this. My address is, now notice I'm inside single quotes, but I'm not going to parse anything. I'm just going to concatenate address on there, and then I'll concatenate the period on the end, and then I'll have a semicolon. So hopefully you see the difference there between concatenation and strings inside variables. So that concatenation also worked. One last thing we ought to say about concatenation before we leave it is if we have a variable like this and a variable like this, and we try to concatenate the two together like this, right? PHP, how's it going to concatenate a number and a string? And I come over here and it does this, okay? So it does one string. So it does try to concatenate things together, even though it doesn't make a lot of sense to us. I wouldn't do that, but I guess it works. So